I'm Olivia Zhao, and I am a sophomore in the McDonough School of Business. I'm majoring in business and global affairs, likely minoring in statistics, and I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And, outside of all this academic stuff, I'm interested in like music journalism and tennis. Well, I first learned about the Psaros Center and the FinPolicy track in the McDonough School of Business Back to Business Fair in the fall of 2023 when I was a freshman. I think, yeah, I passed by the booth and I took a flyer as I was doing for all the booths there. And I saw that there was this really cool trip or this trek you could go on many months later in the spring after finals. And I thought, wow, this is an excellent opportunity. This is almost like exactly what I was thinking of doing or thinking of exploring at the very least in the business school. Because like I was never that much of like a pure business minded person when I got into uh, the MSB or Georgetown in general. I think on the Admitted Students Day weekend, I picked up a copy of one of those journals that schools or colleges within schools publish sometimes about things going on. And there was an interview in the journal from a guy who went on to go into the SEC, who graduated from the MSB like 20 years prior or something along those lines. And I remember thinking like, I didn't know this was an option. I didn't know you went to business school and then could like spin into a career of federal regulation from that. And that's when I first like picked up in my mind, like, hey, maybe this is something that I'd be interested in because I think outside of just business, I'm also policy is like a big thing that I'm interested in. And so I thought like this is probably the most like the best representation of that sort of intersection of interest that I'd be able to find in the business school or outside of the business school. The Psaros Center isn't just related to the MSB. And that's why I chose to participate and apply. I think still the most memorable highlight was the very first talk or the very first like sit down that we had with one of our guests or one of the people who we were able to get a meeting with, which was Dalip Singh uh, of the National Economic Council and the National Security Council, I think, like he was part of both. And after he gave his introduction about like how he was involved in the sanction program against Russia after the invasion of Ukraine, I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is like the guy who helped create the like monumental news that like we just like people extremely far removed from Washington, D.C. Like I was a junior in high school. I remember reading about this news like in my statistics class as it was happening. And now I'm talking to someone who was like a part of making that happen. Like I cannot believe like this is where I am right now and that I get to have this incredible opportunity that I could not have imagined when I was a junior in high school, just like scrolling through my Chromebook in the middle of my statistics class. And like it wasn't just then. I basically had like similar revelations every time that we got to just like sit down in front of these heads of bureaucratic offices and huge Wall Street companies for the rest of the week, like over and over again. I think the main way that it's influenced my career trajectory has been just like solidifying that rather than like this abstract idea of, oh, maybe I could go into regulation or the administrative state post business school education, like this is definitely something that I can do. And it's something that I really enjoy hearing about. Like I really loved going to all these places and seeing, for lack of a better term, just like not to repeat myself, but yeah, like talking to all these people who are like significant decision makers in, again, federal regulation. And I didn't, rather than like having a revelation of being like, oh, maybe this isn't interesting, it was the opposite, which was really nice. It was like basically it was like confirmation that this is something that I think I would like to pursue longer term. Well, it hasn't been that long since the trek. I would like to think that Yeah, I have stayed involved with the Psaros Center with the continued like dinner series that is supposed to like happen with the people who went on the trek afterwards during the semester. I'm going to be volunteering with the FMQ again. I don't think there's that many programs very similar to the Psaros Center, which is again why I wanted to get involved with the center slash the trek in the first place.